Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets is a sci-fi epic that follows Valerian and Laureline, agents of some federation or whatever, tasked with protecting the converter, the last of its kind, while also trying to discover a looming threat to the united civilizations in space. If it doesn't make sense, that's because that's what happens when you give a Frenchman too much money, mushrooms, and a studio that doesn't say no.
Red alert! Red alert! Red alert!
Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets was your choice. What did you think of the film?
Anybody that's seen Fifth Element knows the director and knows his visual style. This to me could actually be a sequel to that movie.
Yeah.
It feels very much in the same world, only this time, unlike Fifth Element, he had a lot of CGI money, and you can tell. I mean, a lot of the CGI doesn't age well, in particular the aliens. Visually, it is a breathtaking movie.
Yeah, it's surprisingly so. Yeah.
The one thing I really couldn't get by is just right away is the chemistry between the two main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bad dream.
A+ world building that is ruined by basically everything else. Like you said, the two leads right off the bat just do not work at all. And both their characters and the chemistry together is just completely non-existent.
My Ivy League education taught me to steer clear from bad boys like you.
Yeah, well, you're not gonna find better than me on the market.
I was just like so confused because he's kind of a ladies' man, and in the French comic books, he's a ladies' man, and then he just like suddenly proposes to his.
I want my heart to belong to you and no one else. Red alert! Red alert!
Yeah,
and he's a major, she's a sergeant, she's like his junior partner, and is like, wait,
but
what?
then she acts more adult than he does, or more.
Right.
We both know you're quite a lady killer. So why do you lose interest in a girl as soon as you win her heart?
Because I'm looking for the perfect woman.
I'm not one to judge male attractiveness. Dane DeHaan is a pretty quality actor. He's done some good stuff, but he's not that guy. He's not the rogue type James Bond. It really needed like a Chris Pratt type kind of thing, and he just doesn't work for it at all.
No, he's...
Straight up, take a good look. Handsome, intelligent,
modest,
brave,
suicidal,
determined.
Now, if you wanted him to play like an up-and-coming boy band biopic, maybe. I just didn't see him as the main character per se.
No, not at all.
Yep. 3, 2, 1, decelerate.
It's so funny because the beginning opens with such a compelling narrative, especially this beautiful, hopeful message of, Earth going to space, and you had all these different cultures from Earth coming to space, and it's so cool. And then
you can't see this movie without really appreciating the first 5 minutes of it. It goes from the International Space Station over 500 years to this massive Alpha station, and it was just really neat and hopeful. But I did like the kind of weird nuances that Luc puts in his movies, like Fifth Element stuff, just the quirkiness between the side characters, and
I feel like everything is alien, and I think a lot of times you get so used to Star Trek aliens that are bipedal humanoids that do humanoid things, and we just kind of always assume that humans or aliens go by human rules. But seeing the aliens, everything is so vastly different. And when we get to see the Thousand Planets, which is this giant space city, we get to see all these aliens interacting differently, and it's really fascinating. That's where the world building is awesome. It's so good. And Besson did a 600-page Bible, which is pretty commonplace, especially for these massive alien things. Like Cameron did it for Avatar and all that, and he really built all these alien species, and it's super cool. But it's just the main characters don't work, and the narrative is all over the place, for lack of a better word.
The pearls, the aliens are very much just Navi,
indigenous aliens,
right? And it was beautiful, that whole scene of the princess waking up and the ships falling from the sky. That was really neat, but it was just very much kind of a Navi retread. The big market thing was a little confusing to me.
I agree.
It was virtual but physical.
Yep, and it was Yeah, it was like
his
a
arm
different
getting
dimension.
stuck into his arm getting stuck in the box. That part was a little confusing to me.
No, I agree. And the credit I'll give it is it's never boring, but it definitely feels 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like every scene could probably use 30 seconds off of it. And it's weird because I was never bored. I was always like, oh, this is kind of interesting, even though a lot of it is either a homage or a ripoff of Star Trek, Star Wars, or even Avatar, which I think even Besson himself said that Cameron kind of set precedents with the Avatar films.
The set stuff was neat. The uniform designs were kind of cool, especially with the Earth forces. Those killer robots were kind of neat looking. Rihanna's bubble character was kind of a cool concept. And then Ethan Hawke had like a 5-minute cameo.
Which was 5 times longer than the famous Rutger Hauer's role, which he got top billing in the movie and is literally in the movie for less than a minute.
40 seconds.
It's insane.
It will carry a message of peace and unity to the farthest reaches of the universe.
When the two main characters were first showing up to Alpha, presumably they had been to Alpha a million times, they asked their ship's AI for information on...
Alex, can you update us?
I'd be delighted to.
And it was such a weird, brutal way of letting you know. It was just up and you're like...
The Alpha station has grown 7% this year. And since it left the terrestrial orbit, it has traveled almost 700 million miles.
Wait, why would these characters be asking the AI about information about this Alpha City?
It was just an exposition dump. It was just a way of... It was just very lazy. It was just very lazy. Yeah,
like it would make more sense if they had some outsider in their ship they were bringing on. They're like, wow, I've never been here, and then they explain it. But these are two main characters that work for the main Earth Force.
And then she's like going on, and he's like, that's enough for today. And it's just like...
Do you want a quick summary?
No, that's enough excitement for one day.
This was locker room talk.
I think Taylor Sheridan said something about like, I'm basically allergic to exposition because it's just lazy.
Them, the large colony of Omalites. They control information technology, finance, and banking.
The overall plot of the movie is kept from the viewer for about 2/3 of it.
Yes.
It's like you're trying to guess, and I know some movies are like you're supposed to do that, but in this particular science fiction tale, it kind of feels like you should have been a little bit on the know.
Yeah, but it's weird because certain aspects are given up without even trying to hide it, i.e. the film's villain. It does not hide very well that Clive Owen, this commander, is the bad guy. Almost immediately like, oh, he's a bad guy.
If he hasn't talked, finish him off.
But what he's the bad guy of, you're like, wait, what? Until, like you said, like almost 80% of the way through, does things start coming together, but it's not even very satisfying when it does.
No. They're holding almost too much information.
Yeah.
In one instance, we would have lost our supremacy and our leadership. There would have been immediate sanctions.
Oh, throw him the hell out of here.
Probably my biggest fault with the movie is the narrative is not very compelling. The world building and all that, and the special effects are pretty cool and all that, but
your Valerian's connection to the pearls wasn't revealed almost until the very final act.
Right.
And you're like, oh, well, they probably should have said something about that since his dream.
As far as I remember, they only had it once, this sign of connection, where she talked to him in like the holodeck thing. But other than that, they didn't keep holding back to it and use that maybe as a way of exposition dumping or something for the character. But they just, oh yeah, you're carrying the soul of this princess, and you're like, oh, okay. And that it was just, I don't know, it just felt very lazy. Lazy is one way to go about it.
And then her mom, the queen or the empress, releases the princess from him, and to me, tribal, there should have been like this big ceremony. Instead, she just touches his head like, you're released, my daughter, and then they go about their business, and you're like, wait, what?
Okay.
I like some of the action scenes. I
did too.
Laughed a few times. The 3 little alien pigeon thing was pretty funny.
We know how humans work. They're all so predictable.
Clearly, you've never met a woman.
Personally, I think Delevingne did a great job. I think she could have played off just about anybody besides Dane DeHaan. I think if they put somebody else she would have had better chemistry. I think she, as the sergeant, and Luke likes making very strong female characters. She was probably the thing that held the film together.
Yeah, a lot of emphasis on Dane DeHaan, but then he goes missing for like a half hour of the movie, and that's where it kind of leans onto her, and that's where the film gets a little bit better, I think.
Good job, boys.
Oh, the three little things, those winged creatures that had all the information, that to me is a ripoff of Men in Black.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What you want? We go where work calls. We speak over 5,000 languages, which can be handy in a party like this.
I like how the alien cultures are all different. Like the Pearls had the water gun kind of thing. That was kind of neat.
Tribal group that kidnapped Laureline, and they were kind of goofy. She's wearing this big ass hat, the biggest hat I've ever seen, and you think it's a decoration, but it's a plate,
right? And that part I didn't like, because it sends Dane DeHaan off on this hunt for this I forget what it's called, basically Rihanna's character, which is like a glorified alien shapeshifter, and then we have to watch Rihanna dance for like 10 minutes. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's like, but it's not really Rihanna. They CGI her face multiple times on a different like stunt doubles or whatever. And I was like, I just don't really understand the point of the scene. And it just went on forever. I don't know. I just was like, okay, I don't know. I thought it was going to be like a tool or like a...
You construct a weapon. Look around you. Can you form some sort of rudimentary lathe?
Yeah, and then for some reason she got injured. I don't understand how.
It was my pleasure performing for you.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
The shapeshifter that's basically jelly just...
Yeah, and then they just kind of... Yeah, they just went, oh, she got injured. Oh, she's dead. And I was just like, oh.
The two main characters get stuck in the new ship that the Pearls had created, and they escaped Alpha with the two main characters. And the next scene shows them in an old capsule. There's no goodbye. There's no explanation where the Pearls are going to go. The movie just ends with them in a capsule together.
Right, and it ends very much Fifth Element, where the two main characters are smooching in a close capsule. Yeah, it just kind of ended, and I was just like, oh.
Because now, I will snatch every motherfucker birthday.
The movie's basically the perfect Lost and Found. It's basically dead center in terms of reviews. It's the most expensive European and independent film ever made. Costing about $200 million, and it only did about $225 at the box office, which is not very good. Yeah, Luc Besson put his heart and soul into it. He didn't take any money from it, and he just wanted to be made. And I guess he makes the last thing is for his dad, and I guess this is for his dad. I don't know if his dad was a fan of the comics, or maybe it's just because his dad passed. I don't know, but
it said in the production notes that he always wanted to make this because he grew up with the comics.
Okay, well that makes sense. Yeah, and I mean he. Almost 3,000 special effects shots. They had to take 3 massive studios to do it. And some of the effects go from incredible to The cinematographer for the movie is Terry Abergast. And I thought it was pretty funny. He's worked on Besson's movies, most of them like Lucy and Anna and stuff like that. But he's also not a stranger to bombs. He did Catwoman and Babylon AD, which are some of the worst movies ever made.
Real fucked up, kind of bizarre combination of monkey shit.
As usual on Lost and Found, we rate things by Lost. You just ignore it. You put on the best Steven Seagal movie you can find for the day, I guess, whatever. Or Found, you sit down on a weekend, and like we did, and watch it. Pop Top, where are we putting the horribly titled Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets?
I think it's a once in a decade movie viewing. I didn't hate it. There were some things that drove me crazy about it, but the pacing seemed on par, except for when Valerian himself disappeared. I love the visual representation of it, and the messaging overall is, the kumbaya of all the alien species and different cultures, and trying to create those cultures. And that city was massive, and it was cool. I would say if you haven't seen it in 10 years, give it a watch. If you watched it last year, maybe skip it and just watch Fifth Element.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much in agreement. I've never seen this movie before. I've never even seen a clip of it. I didn't even know what it was about. And I think the opening really sells a movie that's sort of undeserving of it. The first like 20 minutes is very strong, and the rest of the movie's okay. The visuals are, like I said, they can go from excellent to eh. The narrative structures is kind of all over the place, and like you said, we really don't know what the hell is going on till the movie's basically over, and then it's kind of like it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't really hit the way it should. The two mains just don't work together, but I still enjoyed the movie, and for it being as long as it is, it didn't really bore me.
Do you confirm, sir?
You have recently, I would skip it and watch Dangerous Man starring Steven Seagal.
I must be a dumb motherfucker.
But yeah, no, don't watch it now. Don't watch that. You can find something gazillion times better than A Dangerous Man. But as usual, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave comments for recommendations for whatever random shit you want us to watch. Share with your Facebook groups of old people, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
I'm allergic to feathers.